In the city, a thriving metropolis encompassing 1/3 billion souls, a man can change his world as easily as crossing the street. It is a place of a million cultures, the world in microcosm. For some, it is their last hope for survival. For others, it is their playground. And for others yet, it is their hunting ground. Isaac Sarason is a talented hacker, a doctor of applied network theory, trusted employee of British Telecom-Sprint. He lived in a world which 90% of his fellow citizens can only imagine. And he has a problem. His health is failing. His job is on the line. His world is crumbling around him. He wants out. And the street is his only escape. What happens when the life you dreamed of is killing you? What do you do when you find yourself hijacked? Colbyjack.net is proud to present Firmware, Hijacked, written and performed by R.L. Ferguson. Firmware, Hijacked by R.L. Ferguson. Episode 2. 3. That evening I called my building super. I told him I got new digs in Willow Point, a large promotion, and a huge need to show off my new stature. If you could find someone to lease out my apartment, I'd be much obliged. Then I called Uniform Storage. I don't know why I lied to the lady on the phone, but I told her I needed to be out of town a bit and needed a crew to come over and box up my belongings. If I could get someone tonight, I'd be grateful. I left her a passcode and told her they could start as soon as a time opened up. A crew would be by in an hour. She named a price per month for storage. I paid a year ahead. I packed a bag with necessities. Office uniform suits, ties, shoes, and the entire array of accoutrements expected of a corporate drone. I slipped out the back entrance into the murmur and rumble of the city. I didn't really have a plan. Just the knowledge that I had to move, get out from under the burden of my lifestyle before I lost my job. Most people, I'm sure, would wait for their pink slips, hoping against hope something changed. I defined that as insanity. My condition wouldn't improve. My decline would only get worse. I'd be lucky to keep my job another month. I started walking south. The further from the core of the city one gets, the cheaper life gets. I don't know where I would stop, but there had to be a neighborhood, somewhere, where the cost of life was so cheap that my meager savings was a king's ransom. It was midnight when I found the place, south of Roanoke Park. I came to Little Russia. I didn't realize what it was called until much later. But what else is one called place where all the signs are in Cyrillic, English, and a looping script reminiscent of mathematics texts? The strange script appeared to be what happens when you let a graphic designer redesign Greek. Old men and women sat on the stoops smoking pipes late into the evening. The smell of Soko and Kveles filled the air. Restaurant windows displayed images of lovingly prepared Cyreniki and borscht. I found a room to let above Georgie's Market, up 12 stories, only 200 square feet in total, but it came furnished with a dilapidated sleeper sofa and a hideaway bed. Best of all, it was cheap. A month of my old apartment was rent for a year. The super accepted my payment without ID and put my name down as Ishmael. Something told me not to use my real name. New neighborhood, new life, new name. Seemed appropriate. My phone chirped with a message. It was my landlord freeing me from my lease. I wasn't surprised. I was on a waiting list a year to get that apartment. The list hadn't gotten any shorter. I took a couple Maxalt Reglans and stared out the window. The view was unimpressive. My room was on the inside of the building facing into an air shaft. The glow of the sky gave just enough light to cause the broken bottles at the bottom of the shaft to sparkle like stars. In my former apartment at the edge of Park Terrace, the day was winding down, shops shutting for the night, bartenders putting chairs on tables, preparations for closing well underway. The Maxalt Reglan's orange and blue magic wasn't cutting it. My head pounded. There was no way I could sleep. I stood on the street before Georgie's Market. Old men and women filtered past me, couples walking hand in hand admired window displays. The street was busier at 2 a.m. than I had ever seen in Park Terrace. A girl, about 14 or 15, brushed past me. Her running suit shifted in patterns as she ran, always the opposite of what was beyond. She was a kaleidoscope in girl form, a grounded star streaking through the night. She ran like her life depended on it. I looked back from where she came and saw another kid. Couldn't tell whether boy or girl, but whoever it was stood on the corner in a similar running suit. Only this one showed movies of some ancient Russian and danced with yellow and orange stars and sickles. I walked up to the boy. His outfit danced with yellow, orange, and red light. The light drove daggers into my eyes. I pulled out my mospas. The boy, about the same age as the girl, looked me over. "Nice jacket," I said, unsure how you started conversations with kids on the street. "Thanks," he responded. His eyes scanned the intersection. He wasn't looking to cross. His eyes stared far down the street. "I saw a girl with one like this. She ran that way. Hers seemed to change as she ran down the street. What do you call those?" "Anti-chameleon running suit. She likes to show off. Blew her packet on a Coach Vuitton." The boy sneered at me. The mustache Russian on his coat seemed to regard me as a threat. "Yours doesn't do that?" "Mine a Pempipo. Nigerian knockoff. Fabric's the same. Just can't read where you are. Gotta program it instead." The boy made a low hand sign. I saw an old man with a week's worth of white stubble stand up from a nearby stoop. I looked at the old man. He stared at me. "Know where I can get a drink around here?" The boy looked me up and down, his attention drawn to a moving spark in the distance. 4 blocks that way." He pointed in the direction the girl ran. "The Red Square. Nice place if you mind your manners." I thanked him. The far spark was closer. It resolved itself into the form of a boy of maybe 10 years. Something was happening here. Something strange but familiar. I just couldn't put my finger on it. Halfway down the block, I looked back. The boy was gone. The corner empty. As I came within sight of the Red Square, the girl in the Coach Vuitton running suit passed me. Was she heading for the corner? What was with the kids running around after the point where night became morning? 5. The Red Square was a large bar by city standards, dimly lit with comfortable booths, low tables, and a long bar with more varieties of vodka than I knew existed. The floor and ceiling paneled in dark wood, the walls of orange-painted bricks which peeked out from behind photos and holos of Russian and Soviet triumphs. A stuffed dog and something that looked like a spacesuit sat in a cradle above the bar. A lot of pride in a history that I knew next to nothing about. I ordered a bottle of wine. The bartender raised his eyebrows at my requests. Nothing Italian, French, German, or Scandinavian was available. In the end, I let him bring me whatever he thought I'd like. It was a Crimean aligote. There were hints of violet, and it showed a golden color. Best of all, the alcohol pushed back my eyeball headache. I nursed the bottle as Slavic techno washed across the bar, separating the handful of customers from each other. I sat in a booth and watched the street. Foot traffic was lively. In the neighborhoods I'd lived in, the traffic would be more appropriate for a Friday evening, not a Thursday morning close to dawn. The girl in the Coach Vuitton running suit trotted in the door. Her suit blazed like an earthbound star. The bartender barked something that sounded Slavic with a softer edge, like someone added French and Arabic to smooth the edges. The girl moaned something back in the same tongue. The suit's colors dimmed to a ruby glow, showing the silhouettes of skiers in red and white against a contrasting background. She slowed to a walk as she passed by me on her way to a table near the bathrooms. I turned to follow her and caught the disapproving eye of the bartender. I waved him over and ordered another bottle of the Crimean aligote. While he recovered the bottle, I saw a boy in a black and gray patterned running suit take something from the girl before heading out the door and to the left. The girl, a spring in her step and no bartender in sight, flipped her Coach Vuitton to full anti-chameleon. The blaze nearly blinded me and brought my eyeball headache back to the fore. She ran out the door and took a right, heading back in the direction of the corner where I first saw her. "Sir," the bartender said as he placed 2 bottles and a tall, thin glass on the table before me. One was my Crimean aligote. The other appeared to be vodka. "A gentleman would like to join you. Would you be offended?" Confusion crossed my face. Did people actually do things like this? Did they have bartenders ask if they could join a table? The bartender caught my confusion. He motioned toward a middle-aged man in a khaki sports jacket. A white rose tattoo peeked out from beneath the mock turtleneck he wore. The effect made his neck look blotchy. The man smiled cordially. His eyes shone like a predator's. Something told me I didn't have a choice. Sure, not a problem. The bartender nodded to the man with the rose tattoo. Rose tattoo slid into the booth across from me and poured several inches of vodka. I watched, not knowing what to do. The lateness, the flat time before dawn when the universe undergoes a transformation from 3 dimensions to 2, the Crimean aligote, all conspired against me. Rose tattoo sipped his vodka and watched me, a hawk studying a sparrow. "Welcome to the neighborhood," he said after a long, empty moment. The girl in the coach futon ran in the door. Her eyes fell on my table. No, the man sitting across from me, and her suit dimmed to a dark camouflage pattern of grays and blacks. Her pace slowed instantly. Rose tattoo saw my eyes shift to the girl. He turned and said something friendly-sounding in the soft-tinged Slavic tongue to the girl. The girl blew Rose tattoo a kiss before dropping a packet off with the bartender. The bartender gave her 2 bottles of strawberry lemon water and a pint of vodka. These she pocketed as she left. At the door, her coach futon flared like a nova, and she was gone back up the street to the right, back to the corner. Was the boy in the Opempopo suit with the harsh old Soviet on it waiting for her return? Was the old man still there? Rose tattoo interrupted my mental wandering. "You are a thinker, my boy. Eyes always running about. Brain always seeking the answer. Are you finding your answer?" I turned back to my drink. "Just getting the lay of the land. Things are very different where I come from." "Better here?" "Too soon. Probably take a few days to find out." "It will be fine. Take your time. You have many, many days to your credit at Georgie's." Rose tattoo watched my face. I was sure he got the reaction he wanted, for a broad smile crossed his lips, revealing rough-appearing stainless steel dental work. "Your face. You should see yourself. Let me tell you a bit about yourself. A little game I like to play with new tenants." "You're Georgie? You don't look like the man who showed me the room." No, you met Georgie. I am such a part of Little Russia, it feels like I owned the place." He leaned back and looked me over. I thought I caught a glimpse of a holster of some sort beneath his jacket. Too thin for a gun. Might be a knife. "Let me tell you about yourself, and then you can tell me about me." Seems inefficient, but when in Moscow? Rose tattoo laughed. "Better to be in Kiev or Tbilisi, if you follow my meaning." "Those are in Russia, too?" Rose tattoo smirked. "Saw a city map once on a poster. Showed the world from North Shore. Huge, important buildings in North and South Shore. Ribbons of skyscrapers running down the middle, getting ever wider as it noted the alley. In the far back were enormous buildings in the boroughs. City Park filled the horizon in green among the famous spires, preserved like flies in amber. Way in the back, almost a dot, was a line with a castle on it. Europe was written across it. Moscow, Kiev, and Tbilisi are beyond that castle, in the space outside the poster. We remember Moscow as the home of the power that preserved our homes. This bar is a shrine to the lost Moscow, the Moscow from before the bloody Tsar and his one Rus policy. Kiev and Tbilisi are where our hearts lie, our homelands that are defined not in Russia. Besides, outsiders think we are Russians. Why disappoint them? Many tourists come here on the weekends from the so-called better parts of the city to the north. Pub crawls are very profitable. Definitely not the direction I expected. I shrugged. Then we will do as you do in Kiev. Rose tattoo filled his glass, took a swig, and started. You are city-born. Close, say, a corporate district near the alley. Not enough flash for the coastal boroughs. Cybernetic ports say you do computer work. Somewhere that places security over safety. The scarlet kiss, an aversion to light, tells me you are nearing an edge you fear you cannot return from. The room at Georgie tells me you are running before they hunt you. Am I close? Close enough, I answered. Your turn. I looked over a rose tattoo. A boy in a black and gray camouflage running suit walked in the door. The bartender nodded at him. He crossed the bar and took a packet from the bartender before leaving. He went left out the door. I finished off my bottle and ordered another. You are a man of power, local power, probably this entire neighborhood, but definitely not much beyond. I looked him over. Short-trimmed hair, no beard, predatory eyes. Everyone who entered the Red Square looked upon him with respect. You are a dangerous man, a loved man, a man who makes a terrible enemy but a strong friend. That is as far as I dare. You are much better at this game than I. Rose Tattoo laughed and extended his hand. I am Leo, and you are? I started to say my name, but stopped. Something made me lie to Leo of the Rose Tattoo. Call me Ishmael. The discarded son of Abraham. How very poetic. Discarded after a better one was found. Even better yet. How appropriate for an alias. Leo was not fazed. I was thinking of the guy with the whale, Moby Dick. Saw it in a movie starring that Australian with the overbite. His name escapes me. Sid Hopper, that's it. I don't think that was one of his better ones. Much better in Big Trouble in Giant Village. Leo smiled like a shark. Stainless steel dental work caught the light, giving the appearance of stars falling down, down, down into a black hole. I relaxed. I was conversing with a man who, most definitely, could kill me for any reason. What do we talk about? Shitty movies. Leo called for a second glass and finished the bottle between the two. He slid the new glass to me. When we find someone of character, someone we believe could be a friend, we always share a drink from the same bottle. Might not be everyone's way, but it is my way. I raised the glass and saluted my host. I was a guest in his kingdom. Best play nice with the natives, especially if you're camped on their land. Firmware Hijacked is available in our feed for the low price of free, and will also be available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Smashwords as well at a low price. The feed copy is being released under the same attribution non-commercial share-alike license as the podcast. The commercial copy is under the licensing agreement of where you purchase it. Some of you might be a bit confused. Why am I selling something I am giving away? The answer is quite devious in its simplicity. If you want to support the podcast, the best thing someone can do for us right now is to buy one of our books and post a review. Please let it be 5 stars. Please, please. Now, to get the ability to review a book, it is necessary at many places to have already bought it. So I'm making it cheap and easy for you to write a review and support the podcast. Plus, many people don't get the whole podcast thing. They would much rather have a book and wouldn't discover us if it weren't in one of the big stores. And the big stores don't like putting stuff up for free, so there you go. In addition, if you want your tale a bit at a time, we'll also be including firmware in our newest feature, Colbyjack.net Sunday Reader. This will be a weekly EPUB publication, which will include all of our original fiction appearing on the podcast, as well as any surprises we wish to include for your enjoyment. So please enjoy. And once again, if you want to help us out, the best thing you could do at this time is to hit up iTunes, Amazon, which doesn't require you to buy before reviewing, Barnes & Noble, or Smashwords, and give us a review. It's your reviews that will get us noticed. Thank you. Firmware Hijacked was written and performed by R.L. Ferguson. This work is released under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike license. Do what you want with it. Remix it, re-record it, transcribe it, share it. Just don't sell it or change the terms of the license. Your creation must be released under an Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike license. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.